I wanted to ask you about the drug culture back then. Explain why your brother would call the attic the rocket ship.
Well, that's pretty clear. I mean, the rocket ship. I mean, Danny was not only shot a lot of heroin, like myself, I didn't shoot heroin. I learned to smoke it eventually, but I never shot heroin.
Never once.
We used to say, never. We used to say that we don't get high if we don't shoot dope. But no, Danny with the acid and the LSDs and whatever different kinds of drugs he took, they called it the rocket ship. And I eventually moved up to live there, which is the attic of this house. And in that attic, in that private house we had in Queens, we had on the wall written all of the trips he took.
Carved it with a knife.
Carved it, a knife in the walls, yeah. It was like a door, and in that door was all of his trips and the dates he took them.
And do you think your parents knew something was up?
Well, yeah, they came to know when he was a heroin addict more, but I think, again, there was a level of tolerance in my house. There was a lot of tolerance in a lot of houses. I remember the house in the corner, they had people lined around the corner where they would sell heroin. Like, people would literally line up.
Your dad once found $1,000 cash of yours.
How do you... Yeah, he said, "You big dummy, you're trying to break in jail." When I was 14 and arrested for selling weed.
And how did you respond?
I responded by not getting arrested again and being more careful and eventually growing out of that lifestyle. I responded by living up to becoming more like the person he wanted me to be.
But you were reckless for a while. I think one point you were dealing like right next to a police station.
Yes, but that was fake cocaine. I thought I was safe. This is how stupid we were.
Yeah, how does that work?
There was some coca leaf incense that when you took it, it would freeze your whole face up. And it must have had caffeine because people would shoot it with their heroin. And we would do 10 dimes at a piece. We would sell only bundles out of this apartment building. We were safer because we're selling fake cocaine. Everybody else is selling heroin in this building.
And the cops caught you once and literally could not do anything.
No, they put us in jail for a few hours. And what they did was tell us that the guy with us was a really bad guy. He had so many IDs, it was ridiculous. And the police knew that he was really a criminal, and they told us to stay away from him. We were college kids when we were selling the incense.
Why would you take LSD every Friday?
Oh my goodness, you have a whole history. It was one of the most beautiful things. I learned so much about myself and how to love myself and how to become a better giver and a more free person. So the hallucinogenic drugs were the best part of the drug experience for me.
Was there a moment for you knew you needed to stop or significantly cut back?
Hallucinogenic drugs were only in high school, my final year, doing it so regularly.
What about just drugs in general?
Drugs in general. There was a moment when I was 30, I just quit everything.
Why?
Because it was making me late. I was a manager. I was building a company. I was tremendously successful. And I wanted to focus. I just said, New Year's Eve, I'm going to quit cocaine. I'm going to quit every drug, all of the drugs and cigarettes and alcohol. And I quit everything on that day. For years, I would, like during the holidays, use drugs. And January 1st, I'd go back. People say, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, I spent the whole year sober. And then I'd remind myself why I hated it. But in general, I quit all drugs and alcohol and cigarettes, everything on one day.
Your brother used from 15 to 37. Tell about Hazleton in Minnesota.
Is that a rehab?
You sent him there. I mean, it was your funding that was responsible for it, he said.
Yeah, and he broke out, and then he quit anyway. I forget things like that. I almost forgot that I funded that until you brought it up. I don't want to give you a false sense that I have this great humility, which I don't have. I'm an absolute narcissist. But I can tell you that you should keep doing good deeds and not hold on to them too long. I didn't think of it that way. You know, was it great that you saved your brother? No, that's my brother. Like, that was my job. And, you know, you do your job and keep going, right?
What happened when you were 16 and you almost killed somebody named Red?
Oh, that's in my book. I stood on the corner and sold weed. And we had a good little corner of people that kind of protected themselves, and these guys would come and rob people and then leave. And I mean, they would come and I almost said their real names. I called Red in the book. They're dead, both dead. They robbed me. I mean, they put a knife in my ribs and took my weed and I didn't see them. And then they came up on Hollis Avenue, and all of us, and even the heroin dealers, like real serious, violent, criminals, which I was a soft violent criminal, not so violent criminal. But violent enough, we chased him, and we got them to a certain point, and Butch gave me the gun, and I shot over his head, and he escaped. And
But you were trying to hit him.
Not really.
No?
No. I never shot a gun, ever,
Okay.
before or after that. Never shot a gun. That was the only time. And so that experience is like, kill him, shoot him. Like, oh, right? And I shot over his head, and he got away.
But you wanted the people you were with at the time
To believe
think,
yeah, of course. How the you miss him? I don't know. Within the next 2 days, maybe, but no longer than that, he and his brother robbed the liquor store and both got shot and killed. So we don't have to worry about them no more.